Candace has suggested the Utah Valley University event was unusual and its details suggested a, quote, inside job. She has accused us of lying about Charlie wanting Erica to take over for him if he died. She has suggested Charlie's security team intentionally denied him first aid after the shooting to ensure that he died. Candace has effectively tarred everyone here with complicity in Charlie's death by repeatedly saying he was, quote, betrayed by, quote, everyone.
The truth will always prevail. Lies, myths have no legs to stand on. They always eventually fail. One must talk the truth and live by truth because truth is truly eternal. What we have been hearing since Charlie Kirk's assassination, instead of honoring the dead and trying to honor his memory and his legacy, there are so many untruths, lies, and myths that are trying to cloud his legacy. But the truth will always prevail.
We wanted to use this segment at the top of this hour to say something important, something very important. For the past 2.5 months, there is a topic that has flooded our Freedom inbox. It has been nonstop on social media, but which we have almost totally avoided on this show. You probably already know what I'm talking about, which shows just how ubiquitous it has been. Ever since Charlie's murder, Candace Owens has leveled a flood of allegations against people at Turning Point USA, people at Turning Point Action, and people who work for this show. She has made them against some of Charlie's closest friends and against some of his most dedicated employees. She has suggested that Michael McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff, knew Charlie would be murdered, was happy that he died, and stayed silent because he was told he would be the next Charlie. She has suggested Michael is not his real name. It is. I have seen his birth certificate myself. She has called it suspicious that Mikey's wife, who works at Turning Point, helped plan the campus tour event where Charlie was murdered, which she didn't, by the way. She doesn't work on campus events. Candace has suggested the Utah Valley University event was unusual and its details suggested a, quote, inside job. She has claimed that foreign aircraft have followed Erica Kirk around the country and that Turning Point has lied about this happening. She has accused us of lying about Charlie wanting Erica to take over for him if he died. She has suggested Charlie's security team intentionally denied him first aid after the shooting to ensure that he died. She has raised suspicions about the head of our technical team because he took an SD card out of a camera. She has spread absurd claims that Tyler Boyer, who we just had on the show, sexually abuses male interns. She has suggested that TPUSA faith-affiliated pastors, like theologian Frank Turek, who we'll have on in a moment, and Pastor Rob McCoy, are part of a military, quote, infiltration of Turning Point, either because they are veterans or because they have family members who are. Even if not everyone has been named specifically, though, Candace has effectively tarred everyone here with complicity in Charlie's death by repeatedly saying he was, quote, betrayed by, quote, everyone. She has said Charlie's murder, quote, had to be approved by Charlie's friends, and then suggested those friends might have her murdered too for, quote, knowing the truth. She has made claims of financial impropriety and fraud at Turning Point, adding up into the millions of dollars, which, again, is not true. Charlie made sure the organization was audited by a third party every year. He personally reviewed and he signed off on every expense report, and literally every single bill paid by the organization down to a single United States dollar. We have never missed a 990 deadline. Candace has made other stranger allegations involving French paratroopers in maroon shirts, Egyptian Air Force planes flying out of Provo, Utah, and potential underground assassins traveling through unseen tunnels. At one point in early November, she started wildly throwing suspicion on members of Utah Valley's soccer team for wearing hoodies. I could go on. There is always something new coming up, and none of it ever pans out because, from the start, there has been nothing there. The attacks and allegations from Candace are either lies or they are innuendos thrown around with a total, reckless disregard for the truth, so that Candace can manipulate and string along an audience of people who don't realize they are being played. Instead of being able to grieve properly after one of the most heinous murders in American history, a murder many of us had to witness, my friends have had to endure harassment from people who have gotten whipped up by what Candace is saying. In fact, I would say we have suffered more harassment from these people than we have from Antifa supporters who overtly celebrate Charlie's murder. And just like a lot of those Antifa members, many of these people take this delight in how gross and unpleasant they can be. What our friends have had to endure is not funny, and it's not insignificant. It is evil. I have seen it. For months, we have received hundreds, thousands, I suspect, emails and calls asking us to respond. People have wanted us to invite Candace on the show, but for a long time, our approach was to say nothing. We did that for several reasons. First, we thought that her prevarications were so absurd that nobody would believe them. We shouldn't have to answer questions about secret tunnels or Egyptian Air Force planes. That sort of thing is just, it's beneath contempt to respond to. The second reason we've said so little, though, is because there's a good rule of thumb, which Charlie followed. Do not feed the trolls. Focus on the mission. Reviving America, uplifting young people, making heaven crowded. Don't give air to people who want to tear you down and sow discord. Lastly, we didn't respond because Charlie always viewed Candace as a friend, and we were holding out hope that she would return that friendship and stop what she was doing. But a week from now, it's going to be 3 months since Charlie's murder. Candace has not changed her behavior. She has continued to spread falsehoods about Charlie's friends, and she continues to concoct new ones about new people. She's using these falsehoods to enrich herself while dividing the conservative movement at an absolutely critical time for this country. And far too often, we here have heard from ordinary people, people who loved Charlie and who Charlie loved so much in return. These people have expressed the worry that we are staying silent out of cowardice or as some sort of tacit admission that some of the attacks are true. Neither is the case. Our silence has never been, and it will never be, equal to complacency or approval. Still, we decided Charlie would not allow this to go on. Charlie was not a coward. Charlie was a fighter. Charlie would not allow someone to spread lies about the people closest to him with impunity. And he would feel ashamed if other people were stepping up to defend his friends while he never did so himself. Candace has mentioned several times that the ball is in our court. So here's what is going to happen. In the near future, there will be a live stream here in Phoenix where we address in a clear and comprehensive way the claims and accusations, the false accusations that have been made against Charlie's family, friends, and the people here at Turning Point. We plan to walk through everything carefully and thoroughly. If Candace is available, we would sincerely welcome her participation in that live stream at our studio here in Phoenix. At this point, we believe the ball is back in her court. Our motivation for doing this is not out of any obligation to Candace. It is about honoring Charlie. We feel a deep responsibility to protect his legacy, his work, and the truth. I feel that. I owe Charlie everything in my life. I feel it immensely. And that is why we feel compelled to speak clearly and openly now. We'll have more on this in the near future.
It is very close to 3 months since the assassination of our dear Mr. Charlie Kirk. May his soul rest in peace. May God bring comfort and consolation to his wife Erica and to their children. The world was shocked. The world was in awe of how could something like this occur to such an incredible person. Mr. Charlie Kirk was a very devout, religious, committed person to God and to his religion. He was a brave young man who excelled with the talents given to him. Even as a young teenager, he already has exhibited incredible talent and conviction in what he believes and how he's able to articulate it. And God gave him the spiritual charisma and the spiritual ability to be able to unpack and to talk freely and openly, putting himself at great risk, which eventually took his life. His ability to go from campus to campus and have these open mic debates and take on any issue, but he always said what he believed and he believed what he said. Mr. Charlie Kirk appreciated the talent God has given him to be able to articulate and to be able to develop a following that people would listen to him and people would feel comfortable engaging with him. Unfortunately, what we have seen since his death, which is considered a terrible disgrace. In Judaism, there's a very fundamental law and understanding, and it's called kavod hamet, honoring the dead. That we respect and have reverence for the dead as if they are alive, and even more so. From the moment a person dies, from when their soul leaves their body, they are considered sacred. This is why in Judaism, we only allow burial in the ground. That's the only form of burial. We don't allow cremation or any other ways of bringing the body to its eternity. It only has to be in the ground. And the reason is because that is where we came from. Our bodies don't really belong to us. They are on loan from God. God gives us our body. God created Adam, the very first human being, from earth. That's the name Adam. Adam means Adama. It's the root of the word of earth. So we come from earth, we go back to earth. And God has made it very clear that when a person dies, you got to return the body back to nature. And not through burning, but through burial only. And that is where the person is returned back and returned back to God. But during this journey from birth to death, we need to honor the person. So when a person dies and there's a funeral, according to the Jewish law, you're supposed to stop even the most sacred practices such as studying the Torah. You need to stop and go out and be part of the funeral, because that's called honoring the dead. Not only to bringing the dead to its final resting place in the cemetery, but it's also talking about them after their passing. It is considered one of the gravest things to talk about someone when they are unable to defend themselves, when they are unable to set the record straight. So the myths, the lies, and the conspiracies about Charlie Kirk, himself personally, and about his family members, and about his organization Turning Point. It is a disgrace to Charlie. It's a disgrace to the dead to have the soul endure such pain from fabricated conspiracies, myths, lies, self-serving untruths. It is a disgrace to the dead. And whoever has been doing it needs to think twice, needs to realize that you are tampering with someone's soul. You are tampering with someone's legacy. We here in this world are living in a very physical, materialistic world. Our vision is limited, our hearing is limited, our speech is limited. We don't understand the spiritual world. The one thing we don't do is tamper with the spiritual world in a negative way. Creating these conspiracies as we have heard the last 2.5 months by various influencers, is a disgrace to Charlie. It's a disgrace to his legacy. And what are you actually trying to accomplish with that? What are you actually trying to do with these conspiracies? Who are you helping? What are you trying to bring to the world? Are you creating more positivity in this world? Are you creating more optimism? Are you creating more healthy thought in this world? Or are you just creating chaos and creating doubt and confusion and pain and suffering to Charlie's surviving family and all of his followers? What is the point? When God gives us a talent and we become an influencer on the internet, you need to realize and recognize that that talent is a gift. We don't take it for granted. Charlie Kirk died because of the talent that God gave him. He used his talent to the last breath of his life. He left this world complete. His mission was completed, way too short and way too young, but that was God's will. So we need to think about ourselves, about our talents that God has given us. Are we using our talents to succeed in being God's ambassador to the world, to make this world a better place, to make this world a dwelling place for spirituality? Are we doing everything we can to be uplifting, to be complimentary, to be positive, to be uplifting, to lift up the spirits of the people that are around you? Talk words of encouragement, talk words of salvation, of future blessings from God, versus using your talent to spread lies, conspiracies, myths. The end of the day, it's not going to fare well, because lies, untruths have no legs. They don't stand. They eventually dissipate. So why waste your God-given talents on just using your platform and your millions of followers and just messing with their minds and providing conspiracies that are absolutely unsubstantiated, that are total lies, fabrications, and just for sensationalism, for no other purpose? But that's not why God gave you those talents. God gave you those talents because He saw that you are going to have the ability and the means to be God's ambassador. Can you just imagine for a second if God is present and listening to your podcast and listening to your conspiracies, your lies, your myths, your fabrications? Do you think God will be very proud of you at that moment? Just think about it. Think if God was standing right next to your camera and you were talking and God is standing there, and listening to you. Do you really think God will pat you on your back and say, thank you, you're doing an amazing work? We need to be able to apply that concept that God is in the room with you all the time. He's seeing, He's hearing, He knows what you're saying. And ask yourself the question, am I doing this as a service to God, or am I doing a service to myself? Is this helping humanity or hurting humanity? And that's what I think is very important. When we don't protest, we become complicit. So it's time that we protest and we do whatever we can to shut down these fabrications, these lies, and these myths and conspiracies. Let Charlie rest in peace. He suffered enough. His family has suffered enough. Let him be at peace. Let the authorities do what they have to do. You use your talents and your platform to spread kindness and light. A little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness. How much more so, a lot of light. Kindly subscribe to our channel so that we can continue spreading a little bit of light and push away a lot of darkness. God bless you. God loves you.